I've been here for a little bit over 6 months, even though I was born here. And as someone that has come and visited multiple times for a month, for a week, for a weekend, I feel like there's no comparison than when you live here in your day-to-day life. So me at 21, coming to turn up in the city, going to the clubs, the bars, there's certain things I just didn't pay attention to, nor that I care to pay attention to. But me right now, let's get into it. What everyone says is true. New York City is an expensive city to live in. However, being someone that has lived in Miami, I've lived in Atlanta, I do feel like the cost of living is going up everywhere. I think that you need to make at least 100K to live here comfortably. And comfortably meaning you're going out to get drinks, you're checking out new restaurants, you're going to museums, you're seeing Broadway shows, there's wine tasting, pasta making, there's all of the things, okay? I do think that it depends on your lifestyle. Are you able to budget and maneuver? Do you have dependents? Are you a single girly? Are you not a single girly? Do you have a roommate? Do you have your own place? Do you have a side hustle? Do you work multiple jobs? You see what I'm saying with this. Personally, I do not make 100K yet. There are a lot of free activities, and I even have 2 pages that I follow. I'll put them right here on Instagram that keep you up to date with all of the things. So the second point that I have here is quality of life. I do feel like your quality of life takes a hit when you move to New York. It's kind of like a AC unit or a dishwasher or a microwave, laundry in your apartment, laundry in the building. All those things are privileges. Now, if you're from the South, like I mentioned, like Atlanta or Miami, you're able to have a big, beautiful 1-bedroom. It has a washer and dryer inside. The basic things that you're experiencing, loving, you take for granted. If you get those in New York, you have to pay for them. Another point that I have in my notes is that a lot of things are hype. And I feel like this is just everywhere. With the rise of social media, you have the food influencers, the experience influencers. I feel like if there is a line outside of a restaurant or a bagel shop or a pop-up, I'm just going to come back during the week, or I'm just going to wait until the hype dies down. And it's kind of like what I talked about earlier. There's so many people here, so many walks of life. Everyone has social media, and if someone posts about this delicious sandwich, think about this. Hundreds of people have seen that post. So the result is a long line. I'll put some clips up here. I've tried quite a few places. A lot of them were really good, but will I wait in line for 2 hours for this sandwich or this pizza or these pancakes? I wouldn't do it. I hope you all took notes of the 2 Instagram pages that I posted, but there are a lot of free events. We have beauty pop-ups, we have fashion pop-ups, we have food pop-ups, and you get free samples and all of this good stuff. But it's kind of like, if that event starts at 10 o'clock, you need to be there at 8. You need to be there at 7:30. You need to be camping out. And let's not mention just in general the cleanliness of the city. Obviously, some areas are better than some blocks are better than some apartments are better than some. Like, we can really get into the nitty-gritty. It's not the cleanest place. I think I spoke about this before, and that's actually my next point. If you're someone that's just used to seeing like clean sidewalks and all of that, you have to think about it. There's so many people that live here, so many different cultures, so many different walks of life. And then on top of that, the city officials, the governor, no one really cares. And you know, this is a problem that's everywhere, to be honest, but you all get what I'm saying. There's no mass regulations for subways and buses and sidewalks and all of that to be cleaned. Not saying that it does not happen. I've witnessed a subway being cleaned, but it's like, how often? Like I said, it gets really complex. But that's something that you should be aware of. Like, you may step in dog poop a couple of times. You may smell some things. You may see some things. It's just... So the next point I have is the fact that while there are housing regulations, there aren't housing regulations. Like, obviously, anything to do with your health, there's a whole health department and all of that. But I'm talking about the fact that someone can put an apartment up on Facebook Marketplace or put this apartment up on Street Easy, and it is a matchbox. Now, obviously, there's a difference between cosmetic damage and something having rodents or infested, but I'm just talking about cosmetic things to a certain extent where it's like, this should be fixed. So I'm going to pay you $2,800, but I don't know, the tiles in my bathroom shower are cracked or they're dingy or rusty. It's just like, they can put that up for $2,800. Someone's going to rent it. Everybody wants to be here. And once again, that's something I just didn't realize, didn't pay attention to. Some people won't mind. Some people will just do what they have to do. So I'm not saying this is every apartment, every house, every basement. Obviously, there's some apartments and accommodations that are independently owned. Maybe there's a live-in super that maintains the building, or you know, you have a management company that's really good. It's no different from any other place. But for me, just looking for apartments post 2020, it's just amazing how little to no remodeling can be done, and this is the price tag. Either take it or leave it. If you have high standards, you have to have a high budget, and that's just what it is. And I do want to mention, of course, safety. I know you all have heard this over and over and over, that New York is one of the most dangerous cities. We'll get robbed in the subways, there's a fight, or there's a displaced person that's having an episode. Like, there's so many occurrences, and I'm the type of person, while I want to be aware so I can be on guard and I can have what I have on me, I just don't subscribe to it, if that makes sense. I'm aware that there's an issue, and okay, now I know, now I'm aware, now I'm on guard, and I'm going to go about my daily life. You can't live in fear, but I do have to say, as a woman living in the city, especially if you're alone, you have to be on guard, you have to be strategic. There are people that are desperate, there are people that are displaced, that have mental health issues. People have mental health issues. The world is what it is. People are struggling, hence why there's the stealing and, you know, housing issues. It's a lot. It can be a lot. Listen, there's so many times where I think people think that I'm crazy because I'm looking at you sideways. Like, are you following me? You came out of the grocery store, you've walked 3-4 blocks with me, like I'm looking at you sideways, and then you see the person like going to their apartment, and I'm like, damn. Like, but it is what it is, you know? So yes, definitely be on guard. I spoke about this in my how to find a roommate, how to find a room video. I'll link that right here. Basically, I spoke about looking for a roommate in the city, and just in general, how the culture is all about having a roommate, especially if you're someone that's on a budget or you're moving here trying to get a feel of the city. Getting a roommate, at least for the first 6 months to a year, may be an ideal situation. Some people may agree, some people may disagree, but that's what I did. And let me just mention that every borough has their own feeling and vibe, so I was so happy that I was able to do that. So just think about this. You go out, you interact with different people, there are different energies here. You may have someone that's not all there mentally. All of the interactions that we have on the outside, just know that it can happen on the inside. And I'm talking from experience because I had one of the worst roommate experiences. This one, I did not necessarily choose who I would be rooming with. And that resulted in living with someone that was a night owl, someone that didn't have a schedule, they weren't the cleanest, they would leave old food, dishes, they would rinse dishes, not even wash them with soap and water. And without making this a story time, I think that's one of the things I would not do again. If I'm going to be in a room situation, I basically want to interview them like they would interview me, which is what I did before. So, you know, lesson learned, but this was just one of those opportunities that came up and I felt like I had to jump on it, not knowing that who I would be rooming with would definitely shift my whole perspective on what I think I want home to be. Once again, watch that video, but I would want to add just asking about this person's schedule. What are they looking for in a roommate? How do they value cleanliness? How do they value like home? Like, what do they want the vibe to be? Are they the type of people that bring the party home? Are they going to be bringing men, women, whatever they're into in and out of the apartment? Are you going to give each other a heads up when you have guests? Like, Are you going to be friends? Are you going to be cordial? Like moving forward, I've made it clear, like my current situation, like, hey, I keep to myself, you know, the other roommate too, like we're like, we both keep to ourselves, like we kind of do our own thing. This person works at this time, this person works at that time. Okay, what does using the bathroom look like in terms of showering? Okay, cool, you're a morning person, you need to be out at this time. Like it's a real coordination. It's so chill. Like everyone's doing their own thing and their own vibe. But the previous situation, never again. But you live and you learn. And I feel like everyone has to have one of those stories, so don't let that scare you from having a roommate. But it is something I want to mention. Just be really intentional. I'm not saying that there's no events or things going on. There's definitely a lot going on in Brooklyn, in Bushwick especially. I just remember coming here and there was more to do. Like you could get into something almost every day of the week. And now it's more so like, okay, if it's not a bar, a club, a getty, or a party, actual art events, you definitely have to be on the lookout for events. You have to RSVP early, you have to buy your ticket early. You really have to look, if that makes sense. At the same time, I basically moved towards the beginning of winter, so I would say October all the way until now. I don't know if the city was in hibernation, but I'm not getting that vibe. And if you all know, you know. New York is the kind of place that will make you hold a mirror up to yourself. What you put out is what you will get back. A lot of people come here, they find themselves, they thrive, and a lot of people come here and it doesn't necessarily work out, which I feel like that's with any major city or just any move. New York will really make you find out who you are. Are you someone that requires social interactions? You need to join clubs. You need to put yourself out there, because in a city with so much people where everyone's minding their business, they're, you know, worrying about themselves and what they have going on, I can definitely see where people say like, hey, it can get isolating, it can get lonely. Winter is brutal. Now, I know somebody's going to be like, girl, it wasn't even that bad. I understand, but I'm coming from the South. I didn't even own a long sleeve before I moved here, okay? It was that deep. I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, I did not even experience a real winter until I moved here. And you have to be prepared. You have to have an arsenal. I had a puffer, I had a long coat, the cardigans, you have a thick scarf, thick socks, then you have light socks, you have thermals, thin, thick, long tights. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to be prepared for it. The weather can definitely play a part in your productivity and your mood. Some people are not like that. Some people thrive in the winter. Winter was a rest period for me. But if you're someone that's into content creation, or you just like to be outside, you love the sun like beaming on your skin, you're not gonna feel that. That's why I feel like if I am here during the winter, I am going to have to take some time to go visit family for a weekend or a week. Just try to mix it up, because I find that I was not productive at all. I was able to get things done. I still put my coat, my scarf, all those things on, and I was still outside at the restaurants, at whatever events I could find, because that's just the type of person that I am. But it's like, whew. Now that we're outside, now that it's warming up, I feel like a whole new person. So that's just something I want to mention, is the weather change. Even now, it being spring, it's super sunny out, you know, it's nice, but then tomorrow is going to be raining and cold. I know climate change is happening. I know the earth is trying to speak to us, but in general, I've heard that this is just how it is, and I don't think I'm here for it. Okay, so we spoke about majority of the points, but I do want to talk a little bit about hustle culture. Hustle culture, I personally feel like can be a good and a bad thing, right? It depends on the kind of person that you are. It depends on what your goals are, short term and long term. I'm used to just really chill, relaxed vibes, right? Nothing's wrong with that. And I still feel like I need a little bit of that right now. But at the same time, coming here, I went to a networking event, just meeting people randomly on the streets, people that have been connecting with me through Instagram and even YouTube. It's kind of like, okay, cool, I need to step my game up. I think New York is so good for like character development. It really teaches you not to give up on yourself. First of all, you need to survive, but secondly, it's just like there's so many opportunities and things out here for you to do and learn and be a part of. It's like, why not participate, right? So that being said, it can also be a con because you may feel like you're not doing enough. You feel like you need to keep up with this person, keep up with that person. Like, you have to be very secure in yourself. And like I said, never hold a mirror up to you. There's so many things that I'm like, oh, I still need to work on. And there's so many things where I'm just like, okay, if it's something I can do, somewhere I can go, I'll go. If I can't, next time. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just like, you have to use the hustle culture for good. Use it to push you, inspire you, to keep you making your moves according to like how you think you should. I would not say you have to rely on public transportation. If you want to have a car, for instance, you live in Brooklyn, you live in Far Rockaway, you live in Queens, wherever, right? You want to have a car to commute and get around, I don't blame you. The public transportation is tragic. I'm fortunate to where I live where there's a lot of walkability. I haven't taken a train in like 3-4 weeks, to be quite honest, right? But if you're someone that has to use public transportation, I say to just plan ahead, forward think, right? There may be a train that's delayed, especially if you're coming from Brooklyn to Manhattan. The L train is truly a L. That's one of the reasons why, just depending on your goals, what you have going on, where you need to commute, it may be best for you to look for accommodations kind of close to work, but I understand that that's a luxury. So, you know, you really just have to do the best that you can. If you have to take 2 to 3 trains to go to work or school or whatever, just plan ahead. Like, don't say, okay, well, Google's telling me I'll be there in 40 minutes. Like, no, leave an hour and a half early so you can have wiggle room. Trust me, been there, done that. In terms of having a car, I personally don't know too much about it, but from friends, family members, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, your car payment coupled with your insurance, coupled with your toll, depending on how frequently you need to commute, work, kids, school, it may just work out in your favor. You only have to go into work twice a week. To come and buy a car right off the bat may not be the best decision. Or you may live further out and need to commute to the city. It just may make sense for you. You commute an hour, hour and a half, or whatever it is. Like, you have to weigh the pros and cons, and that's why this whole video is more just like banter and like what I've been experiencing. But I feel like your lifestyle, what you want out of the city, and just how long you want to be here, if you have dependents, if you're planning on settling here versus for career or school. I really do feel like living here is all a matter of perspective. There's the good, there's the bad, there's the ugly. My camera is about to die. If you all like more content like this, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment, especially if you're someone that lives in New York. You have more tips, more tricks for someone that's thinking about moving to the city, as well as if you're someone that's moving here. I'm nosy. I want to know why you're moving here, when are you coming, and all of that good stuff. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.